Oh, hey! Sorry, I didn't see you standing there. Yeah, I can put that on pause for a minute. I told you I wasn't going to do this kind of video format a lot, and I was serious about that. It's not going to happen very often. But I do get a lot of questions about, when are you going to have your next video? Well, let me show you a couple things about what goes into the process of making one of these things, and I think this is going to be a good theme for my 200th video. But before we go into the project files, I thought I'd take a minute to introduce you to the camera I'm shooting with. Basically, this is a Canon XH-A1. I used to shoot with an XH-A1S. Times have changed. It's a dynamite camera. The resolution is dang near impossible to beat. It shoots 1080 HD to HDV tape. I'm shooting with 90-minute tapes here. You can see I've got a whole stack of these tapes right there over next to my nuts. And those tapes are, yeah, those are the things that keep me rolling in business here. So anything that I film on it has to be imported into the computer in real time, and that process means as long as it took for me to shoot something in the garage, minus all the camera movement and setup time and lighting adjustments, that I have to import this at the same speed that it was filmed. And that it's a time-consuming process. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people say, man, you could change your production so much with a camera that shoots to solid state. And while I may be able to import the files faster, I really haven't found anything that works with the video formats that my software uses the most, that I've come to rely on in my processes. So anyway, for the digital cameras that do work with those file formats, I'm just not finding the same video quality that this 5 or 6 year old camera is capable of producing. These are really expensive when they originally sold new, but now you can get them used for around $1,000 if you're lucky. But it's got a 20x zoom, great macro capabilities as you've seen in some of the videos. The autofocus can be a little bit flaky at times, and half of that's probably operator error. I never confess to being a professional videographer. I just have a point I want to get across, and know how to try to do my best to make that point. But it takes a lot of editing sometimes to work around the things that I actually get wrong. And speaking of which, now that we've taken a minute to introduce you to the camera, I got some other camera equipment. This is a PCM cam that frequently gives me audio problems when I take it to the track with the Hyundai. It shoots 1080 also to flash card. And we've got my original old DV cam that I started the channel off with. I like this one because it can see in the dark. That one's awesome in tight spaces. It can focus super close to the camera, and occasionally I will sacrifice video quality just to be able to use that and get a better, brighter view of something. The big camera doesn't always fit underneath the car when I'm climbing under it, so if you ever see me go into the green night vision mode, it's because of that thing. I still charge it up and use it on occasion. Sometimes on a track day I'll bring it out as an extra camera angle. Let's look back at one of the project files that I'm working with so you can see what's involved with setting up one of my videos. So we're going to start with my movies folder here. And I've got basically 2 hard drives. I've got Macintosh hard drive 1 and 2. There is a third one listed here. However, the third hard drive is just my archives and backups of finished files. The hard drive 1 and 2 are my working volumes, and the reason why I use 2 volumes is because I will be reading my master file from one drive, and when I'm ready to export it, I export it to the other drive. And the reason why I do that is because one drive will continuously read from the disk while the other drive continuously writes. And if we look here at the files, here's an example of what happens. This is tape 1, 2, and 3. I did the first 3 tapes in one sitting, so I imported them into one file. That way I could speed up the contents of these after making some cuts and edits, and export it all as a single digital file. And so this is a fairly large project file. The third tape didn't go nearly as long as I was thinking that it was. So it came in a little bit under what my normal file size would be for 3 tapes, but 143.94 gigs. Can you see that right there? Can you see that? 143.94. So that's the original file from 3 tapes. When I'm finished with that, I'll export it to this other volume, and you see here, there's Gliptol tape 1, 2, and 3. It's 76.77 gigabytes, and that's about half the volume of the previous work project. And what I'll do is between exports, when I go back and forth on these, if there's a section of it that I need to keep at normal speed, I have to go in and make my edits and keep those sections, like here for instance. I have to keep those sections at normal speed so that you don't see them go by so fast that you don't understand it. And see, there's an example. I cut around this one because I didn't want it accelerated any faster than that. And so I have to handle every single one of these files in real time. And you see, this is probably the 3rd export of this at this point, and it's 32 minutes and 58 seconds. 32 minutes and 58 seconds. I have to go back through this half-hour file, make my cuts and edits, and spend the time exporting tracks and audio tracks. And I have to export all of the audio tracks from the master video as a separate audio track, or else I start having errors with the software and audio breaks up or teleports itself to a different part of the project. So once I'm happy with this file, I'll export it again, and we'll go through this process. You see here 1, 2, 3, 4 times here. There's the first tape, then 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5. There's 5 files here, 4 files here. That means this one section of tapes took 9 exports. So it generates a lot of data. Like if you start looking at what these file sizes add up to here, we'll get info on that. That's 206.51 gigs there, 206.51. And then if we do the same selection of tapes 1, 2, and 3 here, we have 389.2 gigs. So those two, just the tape 1, 2, and 3 is a ½ terabyte of data by itself. So I need lots of hard drive space. I go through it, man. This project consisted of 16 tapes when it was all said and done. And I went through no less than 4 layers of exports on each of these, as many as 6 to 7 on some of them. And after I'm done with each one of the tape exports, I drop them into a master file. The master file has all of the tapes in it from start to finish. Actually, this one has all but the 16th tape because I added a second ending to the video. But what I do with this is I'll go through this one in real time with the final products that I'm happy with after the exports. And I'll make all of the edits for speed and timing. I'll add still frames. I'll export all my audio tracks again and make sure that they're at the correct speed. Now, that correct speed thing's kind of important. If you accelerate a video 2x, all the audio shifts up 1 octave. And if you go into the editing menu and you go to audio effects and you look at the pitch changer, I have 2 settings, monsters and chipmunks. Welcome to iMovie HD. This is as scientific as it gets. Each one of these is only 1 octave. That's the limit of this software. I haven't found another software package out there that'll correct audio tracks more than 1 octave. So if there's one, fantastic. If it takes a degree to work in and understand, I've just been content sticking with iMovie and using iMovie to do these things because the controls are so simple. And so I get the editing done a lot faster with this product. I've got my speed adjustments here. It has a range of up to 5x per export, but I can't do that. I can only do 2x. I can only go up or down one click on this, basically, because if I go any more than that, I have an audio file I can't work with. It's really important to me to keep everything on pitch. Maybe not as important to some of you guys, but to me, I think that having all of the tools and everything, reporting in the video's audio track at the correct pitch makes a big difference in the quality of the final product. And that's how I keep everything on pitch as I go through this and I export my accelerations 2x at a time. I just go 2x, that's it. So after I get done with this master file, and I have all of my edits correct, I'll go back and start doing scripting on the other Mac. And now the scripting part of it is basically where I sit down and I watch the video, see where all the edits are, what I'm talking about, what the point of the video is, etc. And I use free software to do my audio recording, and the software I use is right here, Audacity, right there next to Unreal Tournament.
Audacity, and it's a great utility for doing audio recording, just doing real basic stuff. I could benefit from having another mic, because then I could record in stereo, and right now I'm doing everything monophonic, and it just works out that way. There's my phone ringing. I gotta get that. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah. But this little audio recording program is great. I pretty much just have to hit the button and start talking into the microphone. I get my waveforms, and if I say something stupid, I can always go back and edit it out. So that's the reason why my voiceovers are kind of efficient. I've been known to work with these things repeatedly, over and over and over again.
Pretty much just have to hit the button and start.
I've been known to have to dig through and... Oh, that's not... Oh, but I love this song. Anyway. So if we were to open up my my scripts folder, we'll find here's 76 files in here. If we were to look at just glittal, here's my original first script, and it's quite a big file. This is a lot of text. It's a lot of stuff to read. If I blow this up again and give you an idea, yeah, I write this for the sake of keeping the video on point and keeping my point well delivered. I could babble about these things kind of like how I'm doing right now, but it would wind up making for a poorer quality video that I have to do a lot more editing on. And oh my goodness, I'm probably going to edit the crap out of this. But so if I make changes to it, I don't know, did I change anything? Who knows? That's glittal 1. That's my first revision. After I go through that, I might find some other points that I want to bring up, and I might document those things in a bullet point, and then I rewrite it into another script. And then, you know, maybe a little bit down the road, I'll get out glittal 3 and add a couple of sections where I don't think I said things correctly, or when I listened to it with the video, there's another point I wanted to make. So I'll go back and I'll make changes to that audio track and shuffle things around, and then I'll get fed up with it and I'll retype the whole thing from scratch again, and finally get the message of the video across clearly, where it fits with what I set out to record with the camera. So once I finally got that point across and I've got the script pieces all together, I'll record all the audio tracks, transfer them to the other big computer with the flash drive, and then it's at this point where I start to assemble all those pieces down in the bottom timeline. Now I'm going to look down here just a little bit. You see all this purple stuff. This audio track is the track that came from the actual video clips. And if I were to turn off my talking and I were to click into this thing and hit the play button, you just see and hear me working. Here, I'll put the audio up. You just see and hear me working, and there's nothing happening. It takes a lot of self-control to shoot an entire video out in my garage without having a stereo on, without you know, making any conversation with anybody that shows up, or you know, I have to keep it quiet. And the reason why is because when I start having a lot of conversation or anything in one of these videos, it makes it a lot more difficult to go through the editing later if it's a time-consuming process. So that's how I deal with that. I shoot everything in silence. I go back and I put the audio track in last. So this is the raw video files after they're accelerated and assembled the way they need to be, and then I'll go in and I'll add the audio track.
Job in the last video. I assure you, I got all the junk cleaned up from that job as well.
So after I've got the audio track all situated and oriented the way I need it to be in the video, I'll do an export. Now it's at that point where I can't make changes to the audio track, but that stuff's permanent. There are still several rounds of exports that I go through for subtitles, perhaps an audio track where I insert some music, and some of you have commented on music that I've had in my videos before, and Logic Pro is the software that I do my audio editing with, and you see I'm just sampling one track there. And it lets me examine each end. The software lets me examine each individual track, lets me set volume levels and details about those, and gives me huge libraries full of sounds and things to pull from. But it's not the only part of the equation. I got a couple sets of Yamaha speakers here. One of them is outrageous. It has subwoofer powers that are out of this world for computer speakers. A lot of people with stereo systems tell me it sounds better than their rig at home. I'm just lucky. I've saved these things for years. The Yamaha YST-10s and the other Yamahas over here. They're out of production. They're dynamite units. They have spruce cones. It's got a 30-watt subwoofer and 15-watt speakers, and it's every bit and more of the audio rig that somebody would need for a computing environment. But yeah, this is where all of that magic happens. In a lot of cases, I'll make my own melodies. I've got a keyboard here. It's just a little 2-octave, just a little 2-octave MIDI keyboard made by M Audio. And aside from the use of that keyboard, I'm also using a Presonus Firebox. The Presonus Firebox lets me plug in any host of musical instruments that I want to for audio tracks, including microphones, which, as you see right there, there's my mic. And that's an Audio-Technica AT2020. And it plugs in with an XLR cable right there. And this connects to my computer with a FireWire cable. If you look around, yes, my whole desk has been egg crated. And this egg crate is responsible for driving down the hum and reverberation of working inside of a particle board desk. And if you ever want to do a whole lot of audio work, this isn't the ideal way to do it, but it's definitely better than relying on camera microphones or the computer microphones. It gives me an audio quality that at least most of you guys can understand. But this is a full-featured recording studio, like I said, and I get a mixer here. I've got a sample editor where I can take little bits and pieces, apply effects, and do things. There's the piano roll. What the piano roll will do is it will show me, for instance, what the actual notes are from a MIDI instrument and where they line up on this scale. And if I was recording, if I had this little R button on, I could actually add some pieces to it here with the 2-octave keyboard. Basically, it's a full recording studio. The mixer, complicated. Hey, there's the tracks. I didn't need, but what do we have here? 7 tracks for this video? Actually, 6 tracks and a master. This one I muxed a couple of the tracks and bounced them to a single track and mixed things down to make it easier. I've had more complicated songs that I've worked on, but this is opening up a whole different avenue of quality for the channel. And I've been really grateful to have the opportunity to work with this. I've been getting some pointers from some other professionals and advice along the way from people who have already been providing music for my channel, people who've been doing this for me as a gift. It's just amazing the support that I've received in this project. But that's Logic Pro. If I create an audio track, I can pull that into iMovie and drop it in another secondary export. For instance, I'm just going to go ahead and close that one out. And we'll open up another version of it. Of course, I don't have any audio in that, but the master file will go through several rounds of exports. If I have to add subtitles, I'll add them into a clip. If I needed to create black space, I will do that with a filter, and then I can add other things over it later. And see here, I added the second ending, and so I just decided that there's a better way to conclude the video, and since I had more stuff planned about the destructive testing, I wanted to share that. So I added that clip after the fact, after the master file had already been exported. If I did subtitles, I've stopped using iMovie for subtitles, and mainly because in the editing features, when you go into the titles, you've got your centered title stuff here. If I were to type in something like Fluby Meat, half price, and add this type of subtitle, if I did it over the video, it would actually cut the resolution down. You can actually see some grain pick up, and Fluby Meat is half price. It's just one put that out there. It cuts the video resolution down from 1080 HD to 720, and you'll see a darkening effect when my subtitles pop up. I got so sick of that I went and found an entire new package to be able to do that kind of stuff with. Let me close this. I don't need to save that. I started using an application called Motion, and this is part of the Final Cut HD Studio suite. And it allows me to do subtitles with a lot more control, a lot more fonts. It's got a little text tool. I can just pop this in here, type Fluby Meat, half price. and then I can make changes to the fonts and all kinds of stuff. There's text editors, there's motion editors. I can have fine controls over when the text pops up and when it doesn't. I can put multiple text blocks on the screen at once. It gives me a lot of control that I can't do with iMovie HD. So in the more extensive stuff where you see part numbers and stuff flashing on the screen, this is what I'll be using going forward. And once I'm finished with this, I have to export the file. And the only way I can really output this is to go through compressor. And anybody that's out there that's done a lot of work with Final Cut Pro, they're familiar with how fine-grained the controls are in compressor. And I'm missing some windows here. Bear with me a moment. There's the history. Now, when I was exporting the Gliptol project, that was where I first started. That was my first attempt. And you can see I started this one 8/4/13. After 5 hours of exporting, this one unfortunately failed. The next one was submitted 8/4, 5 hours later. Yep. And it failed as well. That's the one we called second try. And here's second try again, which is really the third try. And this is the next morning. I finally got some edits finished. I added that extra section of video and realized that I forgot to censor something. And so I went back to my original master file, did 5 layers of exports, and put this through the filter again. And it failed after I was done. And then this one failed. And then that's another second try. Of course, that's the third second try. So really, this fourth try is really like the 5th try. And that one was submitted on the 5th. So here we are another day later. And then here's the 6th attempt. This one exported yesterday, and why I was able to finally get a video up. Now, getting the settings right on this stuff, like I said, I'm not a video professional. Some of the settings and the bits and little tiny fine-tuning bits, I understand what the things are, but finding out what YouTube likes sometimes takes some trial and error. And I got caught up with a couple of surprises about my camera format, because this software also supports cameras that shoot in higher resolution than mine, and there were some other settings that I needed to specify, or else it overdid things and took entirely too long to export. I finally got it worked out. I've got I've got a settings file here that's going to save me a lot of time moving forward. But it's a great application. I'm a big fan of compressor, and it's not the fastest thing on the planet, but where it lacks power and speed, I make up for with actual hardware. I'm just going to go ahead and close this because I don't think I need that. And Fluby Meat is still on half price. Y'all better hurry. Don't save. But when I've got all of this stuff done, the question is, really, how much data is involved with making a movie? Let me go ahead and get info on both of these folders. These folders just contain the Gliptol project. Here is the first hard drive at 1.54 terabytes, and that's all data related to the Gliptol movie. And this one right here is 1.51 terabytes. So collectively between the two of these is a little over 3 terabytes of data that went into the creation of a half-hour movie. I cycle the contents of this drive full and back to empty between every one of my movies. When I'm finished with this stuff, I don't even save the master file. I save the last master file that was exported. So in this case, that would be this one right here. That was the one that made it. This is the one I save. All the rest of this stuff goes in the trash. I don't save any of the original things. I can't go back and edit it. And this bit me in the butt once before. Somebody provided me with an awesome gift. I made a video about it. Neither one of us were told the correct things about where its origins were, and I credited a shop it didn't belong to. So what did I do? I did the right thing. In an industry where shops' reputations live and die based on opinions, based on the rumor of what type of work that they do, and the fact that I'm sitting there putting a part and attached the wrong shop's name to it, I had to remove it. It didn't mean I'm not grateful for the gift. It's still awesome. I'm going to use it. I definitely want to do what I can to help out the community by putting information out there, but I certainly don't want to do a disservice to anybody inadvertently in the process. So, bottom line is I deleted a video, and I did it again recently too. I took another one out. Y'all can guess which one that was. I didn't want the Gliptol video to be my 200th video. I wanted to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes in this production and why it takes me so long to get a video out. Makes sense, right? You might be asking yourself, why are you giving away the keys to the kingdom? Why are you showing off your techniques of how you make a video? Well, it's simple, really. I ate the Bonefish Grill because they gave away the recipe for the Chilean sea bass with warm mango salsa that I wanted to eat that night. And I knew that if they were that confident to give away the recipe, that I didn't want anybody else making it for me. Now, that's not what it sounds like. That doesn't mean that I don't want other people making videos. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. My perspective is they gave me something that I could take with me. They gave me something that I now know how to cook. And they let me sample it before I ever went to the grocery store to get my ingredients. They set my expectations both before and after I sat down to eat that meal because they gave me a benchmark, something I can compare the development of my own cooking ability to if I really liked what I ate that night. And it was very good. My mom liked it too. When I found the DSM community, people were using Yahoo groups. It was basically like a mail list, and I subscribed and followed the discussions. I followed directions on websites from some of the pioneers that just started into hacking these things before their warranties expired, and the discussions that came along later in forums, and all on topics of engineering and reverse engineering these cars. And I studied the service manual a lot. I bought the tools for the jobs that I was willing to do at the time, and that list of jobs grew, and with it the tool list as well. So yeah, it's been a progression. But I found the people who had what I wanted, and I listened to them. I did what they did because I wanted to achieve their results. And as I accomplished each little thing that I wanted, my goals kept raising higher because each goal really was just a step. It wasn't the end game. I tell you what I learned early is that my goals are never achievable because each accomplishment only builds up more confidence and steam to do bigger and better things. That's why you're here, especially those of you that are far more confident than I am, because you already know how to do the work. You're here to observe how other people do things. You're here to look at those techniques that other people are doing and see how it can apply to your own work. And if you don't find anything, typically you're here to leave constructive criticism about the things I forgot to mention. And that's important because everybody can benefit from that. Those of you who've never done this work, once you've seen the inside of it, it's not so scary anymore, is it? If you've got the persistence to do the job correctly, or you nail it on the first attempt, you just climbed a step. You just raised your own bar. It's brought me a lot of joy, if not for the people who showed me what's inside, proved to me that it wasn't scary, and it gave me a push in the right direction. I wouldn't have accomplished any of the stuff that I've put up here on video. In fact, I probably wouldn't even be making videos. So if it's made me happy enough to do this, why wouldn't I give you the keys to the kingdom? That's what other people did for me. So if you've got something amazing to share, if you've got the will to develop others, you're either already in my channel sidebar list or you need to make a video. So if exposing all of my methods helps that to become a reality, and if you get to share your message with others and it brings in the same happiness that you experienced, then you'll know what it is that fuels me to keep doing this. I'm not the dude. I didn't invent any of this. I'm just a part of something much bigger. If you're wrenching on a DSM, you're part of it too. You're part of that community, and your success is my success. So make sure the next generation still has something cool to play with, and hopefully it'll be a car with a soul. Right, buddy? Right? Do a curtsy, caboose.